I am back to talk with Patty about little brother. No Anthony this week. I think he's afraid of Patty. I don't know why. Patty's aging in reverse. He has a baby face more and more each week. How you doing, Patty?
Nick, happy Wednesday. I don't think he missed to this week because he's afraid of me. It's Yom Kippur, so he has to do his atonement for his sins for the year and being a snake and wearing underwear on his head and shit.
You might be right about that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not here to defend Nick, though. You don't think he would be here?
I think he'll catch him on a week or two down the road when Nick thinks he's going to get back in a battle back.
Maybe, maybe. Um, well, I'm gonna start, Patty, with who you think the best player from this past week was.
Can I start out with three quotes that will kind of ring true with most of our viewing audience, and I will answer your questions accordingly and appropriately.
Yes.
The first one is if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Mark Twain. Number two, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than to be a gardener in a war. Ancient Chinese proverb, right?
Mhm.
Then third one, Patty goes splat splat. My full make sure your kids don't grow. That'd be Patty on this one. So answer your questions. Let's go with that.
So
The
it's
best
nobody
and
that
the worst.
I'm assuming it's nobody that lied after those quotes.
It's just this whole week. I was struggling. Like last week, the cliffhanger you left me, and my wife and everybody in the viewing audience. Fuck you, you Marcus Desaad, sadist person. I still feel that all of us are going to end up in a saw room, kill room at the end, courtesy of Nick. But
I wasn't gonna
anyway,
put you all in the saw room, but I might put you all in the same house if I ever get the chance to make you all
oh
go in the same
sweet Jesus, I will put that up. I'll do some crowdfunding to make that happen.
house.
I
Okay,
swear to God on
I
that
know
one.
you will.
But it wasn't like directed towards anybody in particular. Best week, worst week. I'll kind of let you lead. I've been studying the strategy and everything else of the game. I did my homework as promised. You just lead the way, and you ask me the right questions. I tell you no lies, brother.
You don't have nobody for the best week?
This the best this
Yeah.
week. Ugh. I, I, I'm gonna say
Just go with your heart. Go with your gut. The first name that comes to mind.
I'm gonna say Meg is still my she's still good on the number 2 week. Um,
Before,
obvious.
not to cut you off, but your guys' little love thing in the comments, I'm like, oh, it's giving me a stomach ache.
No, I'm not like I'm not being fans only with her right now, and I apologize. I'll send you a bottle of Pepto. How much
Thank
is a
you.
bottle? How much is a bottle of Pepto, by the way?
It's probably like 650.
Yeah, you do the currency here in Hawaii, it's about triple that. So anyway,
Damn.
um, Meg had a good week. We also had I think I can't say Dazed or anyone else. Really, staying in the middle. He kind of triggered a couple of people's radars with the control issue. And the thing about me is I've been not only paying attention to the show, I've been paying attention to the chatter, the cross chatter on social media with the podcast and everything else and the follow-ups and with the show. So
Mm.
my whole unique perspective is like I'm casting a net on everybody and trying to see what happens. Um, but yeah, I think Meg did pretty well this week, and this is not me being a convert, but obviously it was way better than Nick's game 2 weeks in a
Oh
row,
yeah.
just spiraling downhill.
Other than Nick, though, who else do you think had the worst week?
I think Aspen had a shitty week. Um, obviously D and Q mentioned that as well. We kind of sniffed her shit. My radar was on it last week as
Yeah.
well, and you can smell it. You can see the lies. You can see the cross chatter. I think Leanna actually had a good week as well because she. Can you still hear me, Nick?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Leanna had a good week as well because she did a huge PR campaign to kind of explain why she did what she did, and I was gonna, I was kind of caught up in the middle. I was like, is this gonna be a Bible camp week or is it gonna be a war zone? You know what I mean? Is everybody gonna come back and
Yeah.
come together and do the whole FEMA thing and clean up after the destruction, or are they gonna kind of still go at it? But I think Leanna kind of cleaned up her messy week from the previous time and kind of swept it in and kind of explained why she did what she did. So I'm gonna say Meg and Leanna kind of had a better week than last week.
And
That's about
Aspen
it
with
for
a
me.
thumbs down.
Aspen for sure. I think here's a couple issues with me. You know me, I like to stick up for the underdog.
Hmm.
I didn't really. I like Mike. I like Chalk, but I didn't like the arrogance that came with the HOH this week. And it seemed like he seemed like
He was trying to
us.
Godfather it.
Yeah, and and him with the Gamers Geek Alliance with
The Gamers Geek. I like it.
yeah, Dazed and Busters kind of fell through, but the Gamers Geek Alliance with him, Alex, and Nav, that was that kind of made me nauseous. It was a good English lesson this week because we had words like serendipitous, we had quartets, we had trio. I you know I like Mike. He gets an up, but I just think he handled it too godfatherly for me, and the arrogance and everything else kind of pushed me away. But still good people. Still, I consider him a friend. I don't know if I want to play with him game wise because if he called me abysmal, the first thing I do is hop first class to Michigan and bust his ass open.
I was gonna ask though, because last week you were saying you're hoping it's not gonna be this kumbaya week. And it kind of wasn't. It's kind of Mike's fault. He tried to play this safe, easy HOH, put up Nick because he's a big target, and put up Leanna because it's easy tit for tat. But how do you feel about him, trying to have an easy week as HOH? Is it smart or is it not smart to have play this safe?
Easy on the surface, but the fires and the embers from last week are still burning hot. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's like it may seem like he's trying to smooth things over from the previous week, but for me, not so much because I'm just curious. Does Nick have like a online competition series record for total unilateral just kick down? Nine, what was that? 10-0 this week?
9-0, yes.
9-0. My math had never been a strong suit, but holy fuck, does he have a record with that? Because that was,
I'd have to go back and watch. I don't remember if there was any that much. I'm sure. I don't know. I have to go back and watch. Like
but I would
probably
have.
people that didn't show up, but the people that showed up, it might be the worst.
But Nick, you know me well enough. I don't think I would have threw that contest with Mike when Mike said, "You know what?
You know.
If you guys throw the contest, you're safe this week." That's when Patty would have dug his heels in and said, "Fuck you,
Oh
man."
yeah.
And
Oh,
I think I could have personally swung the vote away from Nick because his alcoholic guardian angel stands alcohol this season. I think I could have swayed the vote a little bit more to put it in another direction. I don't know. Maybe this is me just being grandiose, but I wouldn't have threw that competition.
yeah. Why do you think dealing on Fan Guy did? Do you think they're trying to play it safe too?
I think is it Delion or Delion? Because like when I say Delion, I'm
Dealing.
referring. Okay, so Delion, I say Delion because it's just the whole Spanish thing, being me even fancy and everything else. But Delion and I think Fan Guy just played it safe because Delion's buying a little time because you could see his gears grinding in his head and his demeanor, his facial expressions. I know you've seen some of that with the confessions and the one-on-ones, especially with Nick this week. Holy shit, those looks on his face, lights,
Panic. Panic.
not that only
There was
that,
panic.
lights on, but nobody fucking home. It's just like how can I put it in all his holes without any lube this week? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's just being quiet. Fan Guy, I think yes, strategy wise, he didn't want to buck the HOH noms this week, so he kind of just reeled it back. Me, not so much. I think I would have pulled the Fan Guy this week and just been the loud one, the Uncle Ruckus or whatever, and kind of stole the show from Aspen. I think.
It
And
would
by
have
the
been hard to
way,
outdo Aspen's messiness this week.
oh yeah, and it was bad. And by the way, I've been doing caricatures of all of you guys on my Instagram page. I've been tagging you fuckers. None of
They're
it's
pretty
been liking
funny.
it. And it's not meant out of meanness, except for dots. But I, I'm doing one of every one of you this season, and it's just me saying thank you for keeping me and my wife entertained 3 days a week for the next 9 weeks or so.
Yes, check out his depictions. I think they're pretty funny.
Pretty accurate too.
I would say so, yes.
Okay.
Um, let's move on to some of Aspen's messiness. Like, why do you think she wants to align with every single person in the game except for Nav?
I think it's a safety net type thing, but I think once everybody starts cross channeling and everything else, she's gonna get caught up in her lies. It all comes to surface. The truth hates to hide in these games. And I think she thinks she's slick now with her little blunt rolling laugh that she had the past couple of weeks. But I think she's going to get her dick knocked in the dirt and it's going to hurt. And she's probably going to be my favorite for the nom next week. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I her messiness, telling all these different stories, blaming it on other people, kind of just she triggered Dee's radar. She my God, I'm smelling burnt toast right now. I think I'm gonna have a stroke again. I've had like 3 this week
Anthony's not
watching
even
the show.
here.
No, it's the show in general, but yeah, it's the show. But I think her lies are gonna finally catch up with her. Days is already catching on to it. Leanna, I believe Leanna and Meg. Everybody's already the chatter and the private chats and across the board are just kind of resonating her name. And when you have your name repeated so much, it's not a good thing, especially this early stage in the game.
Yeah, she's just doing a little way too much. She's definitely on Dee Dee and Leanna's radar for sure, and starting to kind of be on Megan Day's. Um,
I think she thinks she's too fucking slick too. And, old school players, these vets that are a little bit more seasoned than she is and don't slide through their season and get away with it, are already sniffing her shit. She's in danger. She just doesn't know it yet. And it's going to be too late before, whatever strain she's smoking, it's putting her in a bad spot, I guess.
yeah, she thinks it's falling on Monet, but she's not really playing as juking it as much as she thinks she is.
And I think once Monet finds out what Aspen's been up to,
Which she has already.
yeah, but I think once she starts hearing it more and it starts pounding into her head, she ain't gonna have that extension of faith like she may have extended to her earlier on. I also noticed she extended a little faith to Nav as well. Said, "Hey, maybe we should put him up." Monet is like, "I haven't worked with him. Let's hear him out first." When Mike was bringing that up.
Yeah, Monet likes to extend all the branches to people. That's something Q pointed out the other day, that she's maybe a little too trusting. Do you think Monet is too trusting?
I think, when she did that sunglasses thing with her third eye and shit, I think she needs to tune that up and burn some
Yeah.
sage and maybe some weed in that house, get some black obsidian, recharge her crystals like you said, because her radar is off as fuck. And someone who's claiming is having a third eye, you should probably go back to your mentor and get that shit taken care of.
Dee Dee's third eye, though, she's very good at seeing bullshit. Why do you think that is, a Dee Dee?
I don't think that's completely third eye. I think that's intuition. Yes, some of it. I think some of it's street as well. And just to watch her expressions, she has this very distinct thing. Her and Fan Guy, they kind of play with their hair when they're talking, and when that stops and her face just goes long, I know she's listening and things are starting to compute and everything else. These are certain things. So, and you know what? Dee's going in how many seasons now?
This is a third.
Yeah, so she's a seasoned vet. So I think it's a combination of street smarts, intuition, and just being a vet and sifting through a lot of our bullshit and being a podcast member as well.
Yeah, she's also good at making connections with people that aren't like with everybody like some of these other people. Like, I was gonna ask because I know you and Dee Dee kind of worked. You guys had a good alliance going on in the first season that you guys played. What is it about Dee Dee that makes you want to align with her?
Um, I think her ability to listen, her deference, basically her ability to look at you and not like wear her emotions on her sleeve or her face. I think it's almost like going to a professional and sitting on a couch. She doesn't wear emotions on her face, like most people, if I were to tell you my inner secrets, would be like, ah, have a stroke on scene. She'll have a stroke later or do a TikTok video to kind of make fun of you. But I think her ability just to be just like a non-casual observer and non-vested observer kind of helps her as well. Please tell me there's vodka in there, Nick.
No, I wish. Just
Me
water.
too.
Good old-fashioned water.
You should be drinking some emergency in there after Q infected you this week. I was waiting for her to kind of wipe her nose and wipe it on your pillow as well. But check those fucking pillows for boogers later.
I'm
man.
okay for now.
Okay. Saturday will get you.
Okay.
Incubation period.
Yeah, don't say that. Let's circle back to Monet and Dazed, because Dazed is knowing Monet has a power, and he wants to kind of like align with Monet because they both have powers. Is this smart of Dazed? Is it smart of Monet to align with Dazed?
Yes, and I think it's a double-edged sword because even Q said it was kind of just straightforward for him to say, "Did Nick the producer get a hold of you?" I agree. I don't necessarily agree with some of the undertones that people have been saying he's trying to control the game. I think Days likes to keep his circle tight, and it's not the issue of him trying to control the whole project. It's the issue of him just being in the car, him driving. If he's going to get in a car accident, he wants to be in control of that accident, whether or not he dies. I don't think he spiraled like everybody says he's starting to do. I think he was asking smart questions, but maybe not in a tactical sense. It's not the message he was trying to put across. I think his delivery kind of sucked. And Days, me and you should get together maybe after the show and kind of discuss delivery because we both have shitty deliveries. And there's definitely, wouldn't you agree, Nick? There's savvier ways to kind of bring your message across and nuance that out of somebody rather than just, did Nick contact you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he had some small talk before he got right to it, at least,
Is this a lot of creative editing? Because the way you made it look, there was no foreplay and he was just going right in.
I mean, there wasn't that much foreplay. There was just a little bit of small talk and then he got right into it.
Yeah, I think him being a podcast member and him being a strategist, I think I don't know if he's locked up in his house or is shying away from the ladies right now, but he could have sweet talked her a little bit more to kind of set the tone for the rest of the evening in that discussion. I would think.
Yeah, but I think Monet is also
sorry.
kind of easy though. She is kind of like we talked about earlier. Like you keep talking about her third eye isn't. She wants to trust everybody. So I mean, it's not the worst thing that Days came straight out to Monet.
Yeah, I don't know if this eagerness to please or this eagerness to share information is intentional or unintentional, but like you said, she probably could have kept her cards in a little bit closer and just said, yes, I was assigned a power and just kind of left it at that. Her having two now is probably a good thing. She didn't mention she had two.
Yeah.
That was good for me.
She did mention that to Liana though, that she had power.
Yeah, and my wife she pulled the Homer Simpson thing and she doesn't watch The Simpsons. She went like that. I was just like, she's no. Like, why is she telling her that? And it ain't no hate against Liana because I know she's going to be chirping in the comments as soon as this airs. This isn't a hate against her. It's just like you said, you can just kind of kept it quiet, muddled with a little bit of people's votes and just kind of rearrange that accordingly and in a stealthy manner.
Yeah.
I think this season for me is a lot of I'm doing a lot of inward looking, especially I know you don't want to do returnees for a while. That was said last one, but I'm doing a lot of note taking right now, and there's a lot of mistakes Patty ain't gonna make in the future. And
you'll get a shot again. Maybe not this next season, but you'll get your shot again.
I don't know if I do right away. I want to let the wounds from the podcast kind of heal before I do that, but I'm not going to lay out my whole strategies, but I am learning a lot from these people's fuck ups this season and the way they're handling
things.
There's
a lot of them.
And, there's one thing Dave said that that kind of really pulled me back in, and this is what I'm doing differently this season, watching in particular. He's like, I really love me some sodium-free Patty, but he's not going to make it far in the game. And yeah, now I'm taking notes, and motherfucker, I'm going to prove you wrong next time around.
Oh. I mean, you just have to not have that giant target on your back going in.
It's going to be hard, but Patty, if there's a hole, Patty will find it, and he will do things to it that you've never seen before on camera.
Don't tease me with a good time, Patty.
Oh, that's a promise, not a threat, baby.
Let's move on to Nav. I want your take on Nav's game and just Nav in general, because this is only his second game. He's still coming into his own. He plays a lot of games like in like message boards and like on Discord and stuff, but not on camera. So what is your take on Nav? And he wins the veto here. He doesn't use it on Nick because he has a problem with Nick since the first time he met him. But
yes, and I kind of want to revisit that, and due to time constraints, I want to keep it tight. But can I share my wife's nickname for Nav this season?
Yes.
Have you heard of Dr. Squatch?
No.
Okay. During the downtime between this showing or us recording and airing, look it up, and I think you'll get a chuckle out of it.
Is it like a Sasquatch type thing?
It is, as its name implies, but it's a rugged men's type of men's care, like deodorant lines and soaps and stuff like that. You'll see it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But like I said, when Nav aligned himself with Mike and Alex, because I know they all have history with doing online and message board gaming, I think that was a smart move on his behalf. Didn't really care for the name dropping last week with Mike saying, "I'm Chalk," and Nav's like, "Oh," and this aha moment. It was kind of nerdy. It was kind of geeky. It was kind of this everything else. But like I said, there's no hate there. I think it was a smart move just from a gaming standpoint. But when you're on message boards and everything else, and you're not on camera and you're not doing real life interactions per se, and you can see people's body movements and gestures and stuff like that, I think that makes you a little less socially savvy. You know what I mean?
Do you think Nav is being less socially savvy?
I think so. He's a little bit awkward still. He's, like I said last week, I don't want to say he's genuine. I think he's a straight shooter, but, let's see that Sasquatch that Nav has. Stop trying to be everybody's friend. Stop trying to be, this peace-loving fucking vegetarian or vegan who doesn't take any animals into account. Fucking slay him. I'd like to see a little bit more warrior, a little less vegan in this case, but he's playing it safe. He's playing it smart. I don't know how far that's going to go for him because, all alliances tumble and spiral downwards near the end. And I think he's doing a good job of playing it in the middle right now. And he eliminated Nick. I still think it was a personality issue, organized chaos versus complete chaos. I don't think it was anything personal on Nav's behalf or vengeful. I just think he just didn't like that messiness in the game. And by him sweeping him out with his vote, kind of got rid of the shit under the rug. And now Nav can have a clean apartment and work in that direction.
Who do you think won the biggest from Nick going home? Because, Alex was saying this kind of was his HOH week because this was his main target because Nick was targeting him. Do you think this helps Alex's game because Nick is out of the game?
I think, yes, I do. But with Nick going home, I called it last week, I believe. I think I said Nick has 3 or 4 episodes left before he's eliminated. And, don't call me Nostradamus because I'm wrong more than I'm right. But I think Alex got a bye week with him. And, Nick kind of stole the attention, some of the permanent pawn type thing away from him.
Yeah.
And Alex, I have to say this to you, Chunida. And that's it for Alex. He did a good job snaking and cockroaching, like Dave said. Nothing personal against Alex. Fantastic guy outside the game, but I think he did a really good job of just kind of sneaking sneaking away from the blast zone like he was in last week.
Do you think he's still on the bottom, or do you think he's actually been able to like make some connections now? Because he has the thing with Days and Aspen. He kind of has the gamer geek glance, as you call it.
I think he climbed a couple of rungs. I don't think he's on the bottom anymore, which is a shitty thing. I think, like everybody else has said, even Q, put that bitch up every week, like you said, and put him on the noms, put him on the block, see how he squirms his way out of that. And I think we sold ourselves short by putting Nick and on the block this week. Put him on the block every week. Nick and Leanna, I think it should have been Alex and Nick. I think Alex still would have won, but anyway.
Why do you think Nick was such this big target for everybody? Just because it's the easy way to go?
I believe I read last night in one of the comments that Nick has no social capital, and plus he didn't have somebody watching over him like I did last season. Him in Target stocking the shelves and shit. It was painful to watch. It was like he said he wanted to be in the game, but his heart wasn't in the game. At least have enough decency to be in your own setting and not be at work when you're doing that.
He probably didn't have a choice because of the time. I can't fault him for that. But it's
And,
hard. It's very hard to like do that when you're at work, for sure.
Yeah, and him trying to talk through that mask and breathe. He's a mouth breather, obviously, and I was worried that his O2 levels were dropping and he was gonna stroke out in front of us. I think in the next couple of weeks he's probably gonna be called to HR for stealing company time at Target. Really, maybe. Because he's on camera the whole time. I don't know. Poor Nick. I knew he was a goner, and to watch Mag almost fall asleep while he's doing his pitch, it was like Nick was running for office and no one was listening to him. His PR, he needs to fire his fucking PR firm and hire a new strategist because whatever he was pitching, no one was buying, and everybody was flushing that shit in the toilet and throwing that garbage can.
You think he needs to fire Anthony?
No comment because I got to work with Anthony, but absolutely.
That's if he shows up. He says he might not have time. I think he's afraid of Patty, but we'll see.
Fire Anthony then if he's your PR director and your CEO. Fire that guy and just hire a new one.
Fan Guy was like the only one that was kind of going to bat for Nick a little bit, but that's more because Fan Guy wanted Leanna out because Leanna's targeting him. Do you think Fan Guy could have done anything else to really? Because I mean, it is hard at the beginning of the game because there is less time. There's so many people in the game. There's so little time at night to do this game. But like, is there more Fan Guy could have done?
Yes, I think so. He's influential enough. Like, if I wanted Nick to stay in the game, I would have said keep Nick in the game, even if that would have made me like the next target for the target for the next noms. And another thing too, I noticed about Fan Guy. I don't know if a lot of people caught this, but last week when she said don't use your veto power on Mike, you remember that?
Yeah.
He didn't throw that out he didn't throw that pile of dirty laundry out into the group. He kind of kept that close, which I don't know what his rationale for that was, because if Leanna would have said that and would have called me out and put Fan Guy did this, Fan Guy did this, I was like, hey, you fucking told me not to use it on Mike. And I think if Mike would have got that nugget of information, I think he would have leaned more towards Leanna than Nick. And I don't know what his reasoning was for that, because I would have flipped that shit over on her so quick. She would have been like, her smoke alarm would have fucking shut off permanently.
Do you think Fan Guy was just another one trying to play it safe this week? Because last week he did so much damage to using the veto and going against the HOH that this week he just kind of wanted to go along to get along.
I think he alluded to that. He said he doesn't want to push up any more dust this week. Yeah. He just kind of go with the flow, and that's just the gist of the conversation. But if you feel that same way, I think he just said, you know what, I already kicked the dust up a little bit. Let's let it settle, kind of put me off the radar, so I'm not a target for the next noms. That's what I think. And
go ahead.
You said last week that Fan Guy is getting a lot of hate on social media from Dot's family.
Oh, from Dot's family, yeah.
What in the Wakanda fuck is Fanbuse? That was put on there. Somebody put Fanbuse on his page.
That's a Fanbussy.
Yeah, what's that mean?
I
I,
assume
I
Fan
tried
Guy
to.
is a male pussy is what I was getting from that.
Oh, okay, because I tried to make it sound a little more authentic. I'm probably gonna get knocked or canceled for cultural appropriation, but fambuse sounds way better than fambusi.
Yeah, I would agree with that, I suppose.
But I'm gonna say he's on a no-fly zone in Dot's territory from this point on. So keep up the
Yeah,
good work.
Fan Guy is very hated in Dot's family, to say the least.
Okay, so let's move on from fambuse.
um, I was going to move on to. Well, I still wanted to talk about Fan Guy because I always say when I talk about Survivor and Big Brother, um, the the way you set yourself up at the beginning of this game, like the pace you set at the beginning, is kind of the pace you have to keep. So Fan Guy setting this pace of like I'm going to play more aggressively this season, and I'm at the bottom, so I need to do a lot of shit, and then to kind of fall back into the next season, it's a hard way to play because you already set the pace for yourself, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think maybe he's taken an ebb and flow like technique this season. Everybody knows what he's capable of doing. Even Dazed said, "I don't want to work with him this season. We've been buddies and everything else." I think everybody already knows his shtick. Everybody already knows what he does, and there's been no shortage of comments about Fan Guy's gameplay, right? So I think Fan Guy was just like boom, really hard, put it up there, and now it's just kind of easing back and eating some dinner, and taking some asthma inhaler and just chilling. And what is that, albuterol? Yeah. Anyway, I think you give a little, you take a little, you give a little bit more, you take a little more. I think that was just a clever move on his behalf because they already know what he's going to do. It's just letting it play out in real time and on game time.
Yeah, and I also think Van Guy honestly would have had a really hard time getting enough votes to keep Nick. So I
Eh,
can't blame him
but
too much.
but you know what? He's just like that juror, that person that could have just said, he could have changed his mind. He could have tried harder if he really wanted to keep in pace. But he went all soft dick on us, and that kind of disappointed me. But you know what? Anybody who lasts longer in a game than me, I can't really critique their strategy. But yeah, you kind of went soft dick, Fan Guy, and been could have been that dissenting juror, that person, that voice in the crowd that could have said, "Hey, you know what? Maybe we should move it this way," and maybe he could have killed two birds in one with one stone in less than a week's time.
Do you have any final thoughts on Mike's HOH week before we get to this speculation for the new HOH?
Um, Other than the arrogance and the Godfather like qualities, I think he played it kind of smart. Um, it still intrigues me that people Delion and Fan Guy were willing to throw the game just
They
to do
lost
that.
their shot at a power too by doing that.
And that's irksome to me because I think even though if I would have lost that challenge, the HOH challenge to Mike, I think I would have garnered his respect enough to kind of leave me alone anyway, instead of just kind of swatting them away like flies. That that was smart, and he even put on the comments that he doesn't even remember walking into that. Um, I think I would have stuck it out a little bit longer to see if I could have upset him.
And
That's
Delian had a shot
one
to do so.
he could have. And why in the fuck? Why is he playing so safe this season?
He's playing very safe for Delian standards.
God damn him! I love him, hate him at the same time. I'm still holding true. I'm gonna say, Delian, show me your X-Men powers, and you ain't shown me shit yet.
Well, let's move on to the Price is Right challenge. Do you have any comments from that challenge?
Me and my wife were like kind of chattering across each other, and we agree that we think Nick probably would have slammed this one. He got eliminated too quick. Um, I think Alex and Delion said he probably would have been running across aisles to check the prices, but um,
He probably had a device to just check right there.
oh yeah, he could have scanned everything and just been baller. This would have been next week to shine, but the fucker shit the bed too early and wasn't
Yep.
there. Um, I think I would have sucked at this game because everything's 40 to 60% higher here, and
That's crazy
couple
because that's California prices too.
And our prices make California prices look pussy.
Apparently.
Like Pepto Bismol, I think is like 9.99 for that little thing, and the bleach wipes and everything else, and the cereal. I think cereal is like 9.99 a box with certain things. Yeah,
Damn.
I would have totally sucked this challenge. I would have been horrible at this. But
Go ahead.
go ahead. You go ahead, Nick.
No, I was gonna ask, like, because it came down to Days, Meg, and Monet, and none of them wanted to be HOH. So, like, did you notice how they were all giving wackadoo prices?
Yes, and it's always better just to do the $1 thing like Days was doing, like The Price is Right, because those people always seem to, win. But you could tell there was no enthusiasm in their eyes. It was just like war torn. Just they were just like,
They're afraid to make moves. They don't want the blood on their hands.
and why? Why?
There's this philosophy that early in a game you need to play it safe, and yeah, can't get too much blood on your hands early on, I guess.
See me.
Although you could also say it's pre-jury, so this is the time to get blood in your hands because they might not be a jury member.
Yeah, and the thing is too, it's like I'd rather burn out than just fade away. You know what I mean? And fuck, and to watch them just kind of dilly dally and do this shit and this shit, I was just like, come on, now's the time to shine. Now is your time to make a mess, clean it up afterwards. As long as you're clear, as long as you're honest with those you're collaborating with, don't pull a last week with your HOH. Be honest with everybody and just be like, hey, I'm making these decisions for this reason. I would have hopped on this so quick, and this whole eagerness to please. I have not seen this level of eagerness since me and my wife walked through the red light district in Pattaya, Thailand. It was disgusting. It was dirty, and this is the time. This is the time you sharpen your sword and you plunge it in. And these people did nothing. This
They
was
don't.
kind
They don't
of
want the
upsetting.
sword. They don't want the sword.
Oh,
But
I want the
Monet
sword.
now has a sword, and she's very peace and love. So how do you think she's gonna handle the power in the sword?
I don't think she's going to use it to its full capability. I think she's still playing kumbaya with everybody. She's still a little naive and trusting, like I was in my first season. I just think her third eye's off, her crystals are off. All her telecommunication and her inner communications are failing her. But I think she's going to get a lesson quick with the help of some of her fellow castmates.
So my question to you is, who do you think Monet should be? Who do you think Monet's 2 nominations should be? But who do you think her 2 nominations will be?
I'm thinking there's going to be some chatter in the crowds and with her because she's going to have to do her interrogations, right, and ask everybody to put up her noms. I think Aspen's name is going to come up. It's going to be hard to keep Aspen's name out of everybody's mouth. So I think a no-brainer is going to be Aspen. And can I throw a wild card in there?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be between Nav and maybe Liana again.
You think she would put up Liana?
I think so.
Why?
I just think I just think some people are going to start chewing in her ear. They kind of push it in that direction. But I'm wrong a lot. But that's my wild
is this
card.
who you think she should put up, or who you think she will put up?
This is who I think she'll put up. But I think Aspen is a hard target to kind of just ignore. I know Nav.
Didi will go for that though, because Didi's saying, even though she's against Aspen, that the matriarchy needs to keep the numbers.
But is the matriarchy really as? Do you sense that the matriarchy is as strong as they say they are?
Well, it would be if not for Aspen. Aspen's kind of being the crack in that alliance.
So, do you think they're going to come together? And you already know how this is going to transpire, but I think they're going to stonewall her eventually. They're going to bust her ass out and just say, get the fuck out of our alliance.
Do you think now is that time to do so?
I think it will be sooner than later, and I don't know. I think she's also going to kind of. I think she's going to be swayed by whoever rings in her ear the loudest. I think she's going to be able to be persuaded and told who to nom through her
Who
chats.
who do you think is going to be the loudest?
Ugh. Leanna, because
Is
her
that
her
because her microphone is loud?
yes, I think just by decibel meters, Leanna will be the loudest.
Well, let me rephrase the question then. Who do you think will push their agenda the most?
I think Dave's story has that bug in her ear, and they already have that under the radar alliance or agreement, back alley agreement, if you want to say, or backyard agreement. I I think Days is gonna be a just kind of that voice, that solemn voice, that person who may be the bug in her ear that's gonna tell her to make the next move. That's what I think.
Any other predictions you would like to make for this week 3 coming up?
I don't know, Nick. It's like Q said, it's like you can't pay attention to any of these alliances anymore because they're all muddy, they're all over the place.
Yes.
I don't even know anymore. It's just like, um, to be honest with you, and I hate using that word because it's always inferring that I'm lying to you.
Yeah.
Um, um, I'm learning what not to do from this season, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
And
it's because everybody's returning and everybody wants to play so hard that they're kind of overplaying. There's a lot of overplaying, and everybody wants to align with everybody. But if you're aligned with everybody, you're aligned with nobody. So it's hard to really.
and you think about it, if my observations are correct about the Big Brother game, Monet has what, four more eliminations to use her powers, right? All those with powers have
Yes.
to the
Well, she has
and
3 to use the first one and 4 to use the new one.
oh, okay, so it
Actually,
all
my
the
math's
elimination.
off. She has 2 to use the first one and 3 to use the new one. Sorry.
Oh, because you can't use your veto powers or your anything after it's dropped to six contestants, right?
Yeah, even before that, because it'd
Oh,
be yeah.
okay, because I was boning up on the game rules and stuff like that. I understood that you can't use any powers after it's dwindled down to six contestants, but
I
I'm
think
not
what you're
sure.
asking is the veto. Once it's down to 6, all 6 players could play in the veto. Before that, you like the random pick when I do the random thing out of the jar.
Oh, okay, okay. That's where my misunderstanding and the greenness of the game comes. So is there going to be like double elimination coming up in the next couple weeks,
Oh, there
or
will be a double
sooner than
elimination at
later?
some point.
Sooner
I
than
can't tell
later.
you when, but there will be a double elimination.
Uh, okay. So, I noticed yesterday somebody was saying have faith. I no longer have faith in any of these people, and nothing surprises me anymore. So, I love you all, sorta, and with the exception of the one that was first eliminated. Fuck you. But anyway, just kidding. I'm kidding. Um,
But Dot's
but
family hates Fat Guy more than they hate you.
I know I'm trying to rile that up and just get them to hate me again and take some of the heat off the Fat Guy. But
You know, when I asked Dot to try and get on this podcast, he's not going to come, right?
what, really? Why? He just
I don't
doesn't like
know.
me that much?
We'll find out,
Um,
I guess.
but Q's bringing the fire every week, and she's laying into him like a motherfucker.
True.
And no matter what she says, it's like they ain't chirping on her ass.
Well, they probably don't want any of Q, I guess.
Okay, so um, I want to say like all the competitors, their strategies vary on a scale. Some are a little bit more vocal than others, a little bit more savvy, a little bit more war torn. I don't know, Nick. It's this whole week has been confusing to me. It's been horrible.
Why? Because it's so many. They're still making alliances. 7 episodes in, making new alliances.
Yes, and like I get bashed a lot when they review my performance in podcasts. It's just like, there's so much material this week, and it's just like just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And I could light a lot of these motherfuckers up, but I don't want to, and because I'm not known for the cleanest gameplay either. But like I said, it's just showing me what not to do in future gameplay.
Well, I'll say it for you. There's a lot of overplaying going on. Not everybody. Some people are playing it smart, but there's a lot of overplaying going on. You're giving Dillion shit, but him hanging back right now, it's kind of the smart way to go when everybody else is all over the place.
I don't know. It's like, is he being fluffed for the big porno, or is he just gonna go in hard of all eventually by himself? because like me, I like to stay hard the whole entire season, and just show everybody what I'm doing. But I still have faith in him. Hopefully, he'll pull through for me and satiate that hunger I have to see him in this time of need. But I don't know.
I'll give a hint that it's possible. It's very possible. Well,
Oh,
Dillon's gonna come out a little.
that's like saying, you know, your gas tank is going to run out of gas this week. It's a fucking given if you drive all the time. You're not giving me anything I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
how hard and how fast it's going to happen. And I ain't seeing shit. I'd rather stand on the side of the road with my thumb up than wait for Deleon to fucking pull through for me.
Well, to wrap this up, any final thoughts on week 2?
I don't know. Ask me anything, because it's like we kind of visited on strategy and everything else. I don't know. Hit me with some difficult questions. I'm fine with that. Stay true to Patty fashion.
I mean, I want to know why Meg is so high on your list right now. I want more details as to why.
Meg is doing what she does well, and she's like a social animal. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but she does have a way of getting information out of people with what she does. You ever notice how she does it? It's very just methodical, very social worker like, very interrogator versus, Meg sits, if you notice, Meg sits upright when she's in the interrogator position, always upright. And I think that's something that transfers over from the job. And, she's really good at getting information. It's not me being a Meg fan guy. I just think she's doing a real good job at playing it, and I wish I can get to that gameplay at one point or another.
I think Meg is doing well with that, and she's under the radar doing it, which is.
And like Dot said last season, Meg has this habit of going in too hot too early. I think she's bucked fucking Dot's game, his game evaluation this season, and she's not going hot and heavy. I think mainly because I'm not in the season to the fan the flames, but I think she's kind of not going in too hot too heavy. She's not doing this Meg's Mafia thing. She's not doing anything else. It's just like, I'm just there and I exist and
Well, I
know
will
what I'm
ask,
doing.
do you think she's the one trying to lead the Women's Alliance?
If she's doing it, she's doing a very good armchair position of doing that. It's not like she's that loud voice that's squawking. I think Leanna's the CEO, CFO of this one, because she seems to kind of be the loudest. But I think Meg is the one behind, Wizard of Oz reference. She's the one behind the curtain, pulling the strings, and she's not the corner man for that.
Last question. You touched upon a little bit, but on Leanna's social game, like the fact that she got no votes against her after having a messy HO week, what do you think it is about her social game to be able to do that? Or is it just because Nick was such an easy target?
I think that was a combination of both. Like Nick was such an easy target. It's like pick him off. I still think that Leanna has some social games. She has that respect from the younger players. She has that matriarchal type of approach where like don't just disrespect the I don't know, the mom of the group. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out that dynamic, but I think she's able to get away with it a little bit more once she kind of cleared the room and kind of told people why she did what she did, and pull the band-aids off.
All right, Patty, that is all for this week. For week 2, we will be recapping week 3 next week. Will Anthony be here? I have no idea, but I guess we'll find out.
I don't know. I just hope it isn't Bible camp and war zone again. I just hope it's full-blown war, and I hope people are dying on the field and having missing arms and limbs. And
I'll say this in Patty fashion. This next week is a mixed cocktail. Week 1 was a lot of warfare. Week 2 was, kind of safe. Week 3 is definitely a mixed cocktail of both.
I don't know, but I think D's going to be safe for another week, and I those other two that I ran across earlier, I think those are going to be up on the block.
All right. Thank you, Patty.